Welcome back again, everybody, to Tradewaiters Podcast. The Comic Book Club. Now we are finally recording. Nathan, press the record button.
Yes, I did.
The Comic Book Club, where we read a different trade paperback every single week. I'm Daniel, you're Nathan, we're brothers. We're on a call.
Yes, we are.
Video call. Reread comics.
We're not exclusively freaking audio anymore.
We're almost done with the news, but Nathan didn't realize he's recording video.
We're damn professionals over here, okay? So yeah, we're on a call, little hungover, but still excited about comics.
Oh yeah. You ever read comics after drinking?
I've tried.
Yeah.
But typically it's like late at night, and if I read comics at night sober, I'm falling asleep. You know what I mean? So if I manage to get my drunk ass to like open up a comic book, I'm definitely falling asleep.
Yeah. Anyway,
but yeah. Have
you? Yeah, it doesn't work.
Nope, doesn't work.
We got different time codes in our description. We got the book, which is Last of Us, American Dreams. We got Back Matter Matters in the poll list, but we start with the news. It's only been a couple days since our last episode. We're kind of doubling up.
Yeah.
Before our little one shows up. So we've been reading twice as many comics, actually.
So not a whole lot of hot news. Dana, if you like looking at chairs, do I have a live stream for you?
Well, it's not live anymore. There's now a 5-hour video somewhere.
You can still look at the video.
Oh, a feature.
Kilala just came in.
A celebrity appearance.
She wanted to say hi.
Can you pick her up and put her in the camera? That'll be your thumbnail. It's like zooming in on your face. Hello, Kilala. Can you make her bark?
No.
Whoa. Sophia's peeking in. She's not doing her schoolwork.
She doesn't fuck with this.
She doesn't fuck with podcasts.
No, she doesn't. Not ours. Definitely not. Maybe better ones. Serious issues, maybe.
Anyway.
What were we saying? You like to look at chairs?
I
got a 5-hour video for you.
Could be cooler chairs.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cast announcements for Avengers Doomsday. Nothing really too crazy. Ian McKellen's coming back, though. So there's going to be the X-Men are going to be sent off again for like the third time.
I think maybe fourth time, yeah.
Maybe fourth time? I don't know. But that's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. This one's not going to make as much money, for sure, right?
I think this is all looking bad. Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know why they feel the need to just make headlines, about a movie that comes out next year. Right. I'd love for all this to have been a surprise. I'm like, holy fuck, Alan Cumming's back and he's Nightcrawler again.
Like,
old man Nightcrawler.
They got Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
To come back and put on a big helmet.
Yeah.
Or James Marsden. Like, that would have been cool, I think.
I just hate because like, I think at a certain point, knowing all these little details was something that you would find if you're really digging for it. But now it's like all forced on us.
Yeah.
It's like actually impossible to go in blind. Like, I'll watch it, but none of this is making me more excited for it. And it's going to be a fucking shit show with like these hundreds of characters that they're just throwing in there. No one's going to get enough screen time for it to be satisfying, you know, unless it's like a 4-hour movie.
Yeah, unless you kill half of them pretty soon,
Maybe it'll be
hard to focus.
Maybe it'll just be a thing where they're on screen for like, I don't know, a minute or something until they get blown up or something. But
I hope so. So yeah, Doomsday probably gonna be a mess, but if they pull it off, that'd be kind of crazy. So I'm just kind of interested to see. But I think they kind of know that people like us will just watch it, and so maybe they're just trying to pull people in with nostalgia bait that like wouldn't have gone and normally seen it. The Mundies,
Yeah. Did you watch
whatever.
The Electric State?
No.
Oh.
Did you?
Yeah. So
whoa,
I watched it like a year ago.
What?
Because of like the review thing that Sarah's a part of. And I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was fine. Like 3 stars or whatever. I put a lot of notes, to make it better. They clearly they didn't listen to them.
They didn't listen to Daniel from the Tradewaiters podcast.
Yeah, they should.
Did you see a version that like wasn't completed with like effects?
Yeah, a lot of the animated stuff was like a skeleton of like what it is, or it's not like fully rendered.
Mm,
So I like got the gist of like what
what they're
happened,
going for.
But I bring that up because the Russo brothers are kind of
They're missing.
they're having some misses.
Yeah.
But maybe they're only good at like adapting stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's probably true. Like a lot of people like Zack Snyder's Big Two stuff, or I guess DC stuff, but not really his original stuff. But sometimes people like if you kind of put them into something that's established, they're good at making creative choices with those. But just kind of creating something from the ground up might be a little bit more difficult. I don't know.
Pretty
Seems
hard.
like Russo Brothers might be one of those,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I'll fucking see it if I gotta. But I'm becoming more and more open to missing Marvel stuff as it comes out. So we'll see.
But we're not gonna, because they're pretty few and far between.
Few and far between. There
Yeah.
you go. Daniel, exciting news.
Okay.
Absolute Martian Manhunter has been extended to 12 issues.
Nice.
I think it was originally 6. So apparently the popularity of the first issue got it to extend to 12. And hopefully it's not weird for everybody involved.
It's weird that they
with making
announce
it.
that like the day it comes out, because they know how many are ordered like a month ago.
Yeah.
So
I guess they were like, if nobody goes in store to pick it up that didn't pre-order it, then like we're not continuing this shit. But obviously that's not realistic. So I don't know. It was also a big week for comics, like that week, or I guess last week.
yeah,
And
a lot of number ones.
Yeah, there's like Batman Hush shit
Yeah.
coming out. The James Gunn book that came out. A lot of big things. Maybe they were like, if it gets kind of swept under with everything else, then maybe we won't continue it. But
Yeah.
it's good, man. I don't know if you read it, but
Mhm.
man, I got words
Okay, we'll talk
for
about it.
So we'll talk about it on the pull list.
Nathan, new war comic. True War
Oh boy.
Stories, an illustrated military anthology of American service from the Vietnam War to today. Transcribed and edited by Alex DeCampi and Iraq War veteran Kai Kumbar.
That's
So,
pretty cool.
true stories, which I'm pretty stoked on.
Yeah, that seems cool. We
That's-
did a month of war comics and that shit. That there's so much variety.
Yeah.
Kind of in like war comic, like the way it
you
can
think
be
they'd
told.
be like all the same essentially, but no,
Yeah, you
just
think
like
you'd think we would have seen some of the same tropes in like the 4 books that we read, but they all seem like pretty drastically different. Even though 2 of them were like during the Vietnam War, like they were told so differently from each other. So
yeah, definitely.
pretty cool. Daniel, new Marvel video game, Marvel Cosmic Invasion. It's going to be from the developers of the team that made TMNT Shredder's Revenge. So it's going to be like a 2-dimensional side scroller thing where you're fighting some of the aliens in Annihilation Wave, and you can play as Spider-Man, Captain America, Storm, Nova, Wolverine, and Venom. And that's going to release to PC and consoles holiday 2025. But that seems pretty fun.
Nice.
Like those arcade cabinets type shit. I haven't played the TMNT Shredder's Revenge, but Sophie really wants to, so maybe I'll check it out.
I played like a
Like that
90s
one.
one at like an arcade bar. It's pretty good.
Yeah, those are fucking hard too.
Yeah.
But I think the world needs more couch co-op type games. They're always pretty fun to just have and play. So
I guess Split Fiction like broke a couple records, and one of them was like biggest like opening weekend performance.
that
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me, man. I mean, It Takes Two won like Game of the Year at
Yeah,
the Game Awards, and obviously was like really good. So
definitely.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I love a co-op. It really tests my relationship, It doesn't
Yeah.
make it stronger at all.
It crumbles
Yeah.
slowly.
Nathan, Dr. Aphra, Agent of Chaos or Chaos Agent, coming June 18th. New series. I didn't know any of the teams, anyone on the team, but and in other Star Wars news, we got Hyperspace Stories: Tides of Terror, which is
That sounds
a
cool.
horror book, I guess, featuring Kit Fisto.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was like, hell yeah, dude, it's about time.
We need some more Fist in our life. You know what I mean?
Yes,
That's
sir.
cool. Oh man, I like Kit Fisto. So that'd be kind of cool to see him do something other than just get demolished.
Yeah, July 16th. I always thought Kit Fisto was like the coolest looking Jedi.
Easily.
Yeah, I have a
Pop.
Black Series Star Wars figures of
Oh,
Kit
cool.
Fisto. I think he's
Nice.
cool.
I have a Kit Fisto card from the Star Wars Unlimited card game, which is pretty
Less
cool.
special, but
A little bit more rare,
Nathan, Battle Beast, the new Invincible spin-off series,
of course.
has 400,000 copies pre-ordered.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I don't even think FOC has hit yet, but I guess like discussing film like posted that.
Oh,
And
dang.
like, why do you care? like Invincible's not a film, and you're posting
Yeah.
about like comics right now. But yeah, the
I mean,
fucking Invincible buzz is crazy.
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I never even thought how the, FOC would kind of line up at the end of the, was it third season?
Yeah,
So, I mean, they're Robert Kirkman, man. He's a businessman. That's for
he
sure.
he sure is.
And really cool to see Ryan Otley back on just that character. So
Yeah,
I'll probably pick it up. There'll probably be some just general Invincible spoilers, imagine, but I'm gonna read that shit anyway.
I think it is like the time between when he left Machine Head's office in the first season
Oh,
and
and when he
up
was
to when
found.
he shows up and is like at that Viltrumite prison.
Oh, okay.
So it's a
You know
time in
that
between.
that probably makes sense too, because I assume Kirkman and Otley are like, we probably shouldn't put anything that spoils past where the TV show is going to be at the time. So
I mean, people fucking can YouTube like everything that's going to happen until the end, you know? So,
yeah, true. But some people don't want to know.
yeah.
So
Anyway, Nathan, what book did we read this week?
we read The Last of Us: American Dreams by Neil Druckmann, who I think is the game director of the game, and Faith Erin Hicks, who does the art on this book, and then Rachel Rosenberg, I believe, does the colors. Let me look.
Faith Erin Hicks is the artist who's
No, she
doing
does.
that Mummy
Oh
book
yeah.
that just came out
Mm-hmm.
from
Yeah,
Universal Monsters.
yeah. I looked up what other things she's done because I really enjoy kind of her style in this book, especially. It's a little bit different than what you think would be in like an apocalypse type book, and has a very established like independent writing and drawing in both career, which is
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, I like her style. It gives like YA. It's kind of like
For sure.
Clementine feeling, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I thought this looked like how it should, you know?
Yeah, totally.
There's
This
not a
is
lot of Last of Us comics, so
yeah. Have you played the game? I can't remember. You have the PlayStation, right? So have you played it at all?
no, I have it, but I haven't played it.
Okay. I mean, I don't have a PlayStation, and I played like 2 or 3 hours of it at like a friend's place, so I don't really know that much about it. Definitely most of the knowledge of The Last of Us I have is from the show,
Mm-hmm.
but this is still super enjoyable. I don't really know where this kind of lines up timeline wise. Probably just before, or actually, they tell you
This is a
the story
prequel.
takes place before the events of the game The Last of Us. So that's a helpful first page.
Yeah.
But I think this is
If
like
you'd read that.
this is definitely like such an interesting concept, and it's cool that the game director Neil Druckmann was the guy that I assume would help put this together and kind of flesh out a story that feels different than what the game is, because it does
Yeah.
feel very YA, and so it's kind of interesting having it framed in that way. But I thought this was
Yeah.
good.
Rather than like
It's a
the
very quick
rights
read.
being sold to like whoever and then someone just trying to like figure out what would happen before without actually affecting anything.
Yeah,
But yeah, this is a pretty easy read. A nice one to stack on top of our normal reading lineup.
yeah. And what's interesting is that it says written by Neil Druckmann and Faith Erin Hicks. So I assume most of the comics like scripting and like the words is probably Faith, but
Yeah.
you don't really see that happening a lot where sort of a creative in like a different industry is writing a comic book where they're collaborating with like a writer artist. I feel like it's normally like the James Gunn thing. It's like you probably collaborated with Tim Seeley, and was like, here's what I want for the story. And then Tim Seeley just goes and does the work, like the story for it.
Yeah, plotting and stuff.
But this one's interesting because he's actually working with like a writer artist, and I think that's an interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, pretty good. So let's jump into it. So basically, the whole story's like based around Ellie, and it starts off with Ellie getting dropped off at like a military building. She doesn't really have any family there, and she just kind of has to be acclimated inside the city. And she gets picked on by a bully, but there's another girl named Riley that kind of like saves her and pushes the bully away. And then Ellie has a talk with the principal still, where they talk about the renegade group called the Fireflies that are outside the city. Later, she discovers Riley took her Walkman when she was saving her from the bully. So she goes to get that back. And then that night, Ellie finds Riley sneaking out of the city. And so she's like, take me with you. And then they escape, or they sneak out of the city together.
I really like the colors by Rachel Rosenberg.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you
it's like
said her name up top.
It's a very refreshing just style in general for an apocalypse book. Like, and I think it works because it like taking the perspective of a child, and you kind of like have this artist that is very kind of YA with it. It like it kind of brings like an interesting atmosphere because everything's kind of depressing, but then still the art is like still pretty fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it does a good job of showing us like what she's going through and how maybe she didn't even know like a world before this. I don't know
Right.
how like the breakout really like worked, but it seems like this is the only world that she's known, and that's like unfair.
Yeah, totally. And what I'm really impressed by is even though that her style is like kind of the YA kind of thing, like the environment, like everything in the background and all the ruins and stuff like that is really strong. There's a lot of graffiti on the walls and like kind of blood just randomly scattered over trucks, and there's bullet holes and shit like that. Like she has a really good attention to detail with like a lot of that.
Yeah,
So I think
good
that's
architecture
pretty
and
sweet.
stuff.
So, and I really enjoy the lettering of the whole book too, because on this page where Riley or where Ellie discovers Riley trying to like sneak out, there's like this whole page where, or there's like lettering where she can hear the footsteps like go past the door, and as the lettering like approaches the door, the thumps get louder. You know what I mean? And it's just like a really visual storytelling.
Yeah. And it's like
So,
close,
so
and
you
it's
can like
like
hear
on
her
the
walk
ground.
past. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. There's like a part where when Riley like saves Ellie, she's trying to like Ellie's trying to practice the cool thing that Riley says so that like she can practice her lines so that when she needs to say something cool in the future, she's like ready for it. And I relate to that.
What did she say?
Cuz when Riley like stops the bully, she's like I'm going to stomp on your fucking balls or something like that. And then like throughout the rest of the issue, Ellie's practicing that same line, and she's like trying to figure out how to like make herself seem tough, and I totally like I relate to that. Sometimes I'll like
Oh, okay.
sometimes I'll if I'm going into some sort of social situation and I know someone's going to like mention something, I'll like think of a joke and then practice it so that it really hits when the time. I like try to think of a joke ahead of time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I relate to that.
Working on your material.
Yeah, I got to work on the material. I got to have a quick 5 ready, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, at all times.
At all times.
Never know when you'll stumble into an open mic, you know?
Yeah, you never know. That'd be crazy if I just had like a whole 5-minute set. I feel like I could do a solid 5 at like an improv.
I don't think you do.
I think it would take me like a couple months to really, you know, clean up, but
to hash out 5 minutes.
to hash out 5 minutes. But I think, you know, if I make it good, it's good. So they escape the city, and the city is like militarized. People like there's like a bunch of soldiers and stuff that protect it from the infected on the outside. But when they escape, dude, they hop the most giant fucking fence in the world on this last page of the issue.
Terrifying.
It's like that shit's over buildings. Like that's how tall the fence is. And I'm like,
yeah, dude,
that's
how
dangerous.
do you like get over and then get your feet back in to the like fence, you know?
Yeah.
Without
and like how does
falling?
no one see you? That like the amount of upper body strength, you know.
It was weird that one section of this fence didn't have the barbed wire.
Maybe something happened. You know?
Maybe.
I don't know.
It's like
Maybe it fell.
The whole camp is compromised, basically.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, pretty solid first issue. What's also interesting about this book is that it's set in a world where there's like a bunch of infected, but you don't really see that very much. Like, there's not a whole lot of
Yeah.
infected in this book. There's like 3 that you see,
I think
but it's
it's
still very enjoyable.
yeah. I mean, they get to that, in the
Yeah, they
story.
do.
The I think it's used where it's needed.
Totally.
It's like I think it's like a good story before it's a good zombie book, I guess. Which
Hmm.
I think is kind of important.
Yeah, it's kind of painting the picture of like the world, or like how people are interacting with each other, or like the different factions. You know what I mean?
And it also could be like early on because I don't think the infected like are like the clickers or whatever they're called.
Hmm.
So you have to like kind of after a while of rotting, that's when they get like really freaky looking. But
Well, I don't know. But issue 2. So Riley admits that she doesn't want to join the military in the city when she turns 16. So she has a couple months to figure out what she wants to do and like where she wants to go outside the city. She's really into the idea of the joining the Fireflies. But so they go to an abandoned mall, and we meet Riley's friend Winston, who's just like an old man that lives in the mall in like a tent in the mall. And so Riley has Winston give Ellie a ride on his horse, just kind of around the mall, because Ellie's never ridden a horse before. But while they're doing that, Riley steals some of Winston's stuff. And when the horse ride ends, they hear an explosion just kind of outside the mall. Winston runs off, and then Riley hears over the stolen walkie talkie that she took from Winston that it's fireflies. So they run to go check it out.
I like got worried because they go into the mall and they're like going to this arcade. I'm like, isn't this like an episode in the show? I'm like, are we just like rehashing that, or did the
Yeah.
show take from this somehow? But they're only in it for like a second, and I
Yeah.
think it's supposed to like be a teaser that they go back to it.
Maybe. Yeah. It's cool because they're in the arcade and they're geeking out over what's basically just like a Mortal Kombat cabinet, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah,
Dude, when they're like jumping over, like they're like jumping across rooftops and stuff.
like they're
And
fucking
these
Spider
buildings
Man.
are, yeah, these buildings are fucking ginormous. Like they're jumping skyscrapers. Like you can't
Yeah,
even see them in this picture. And I'm like, that they're just glossing over how this is like the most dangerous thing that they've done
yeah,
easily.
they'll
Like
like
jumping from a 10-foot skyscraper to another, or like a 10 to 20-story skyscraper to another one.
and they'll like drop down to like a lower rooftop, and it's like a
Yeah.
20-foot drop. You know,
And I'm like, how are they going to get back?
what about their knees?
Yeah. They're going to ruin their knees by the time they're 16. They won't even be able to join the military.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny. But
I googled Winston to see if he's like a character that I like had seen before, but I guess he's like just he shows up as like a picture in the game. Like they're I don't know, the character is like walking in like a room somewhere, and there's a
interesting.
picture of Winston laying or like the picture's laying somewhere,
Hmm.
and it's showing him, and that's like all that this is based off of is just some picture of a
Just some
guy.
picture. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I guess Neil Druckmann's like, there's this one guy I didn't get a chance to get to it in the game, so let's do
yeah.
it now.
Do you know when like The Last of Us is like set, like time wise?
It's like very near future. I think it's only like 20 years or something.
Then why doesn't she have like an iPod or something? Like
Good question.
she just got like a
I,
Walkman, like or like a
well,
cassette player.
I think the show might be set differently than like time wise in the game, because I just remember the show started with like that interview with the fungi scientist, and he's like, if the world happens to heat up a little bit more, then this type of fungi can survive. But I think the game is just like you're kind of thrown in randomly. You don't really know why the infected are kind of starting, or like what kind of fungi it is.
Yeah.
At least that's just what I remember from the beginning of the game. You're just, what's his face, Joel, I think,
Mm,
and you're just having a regular ass time, and then your kid dies. So,
yeah.
but this part where they're kind of in the arcade is actually really sad, because you see Ellie trying to visualize what it would have been and how fun it would have been if she, kind of grown up in a different time. And, she's completely robbed of a childhood where she would have gotten to enjoy something like that. And it's told in such like a heartbreaking way, because when she snaps back to reality, it's just in ruins and there's like dead bodies in there and shit.
Oh, there goes gravity. Yeah.
And so, but it is nice that that Ellie gets to ride on a horse. I do like that.
Yeah, dude.
a nice thing, you know. She's not afforded this kind of hobby or anything like that inside the city. So
Yeah, I mean, I think she wanted to learn because maybe she'll need to ride a horse at some point. And I think she does ride a horse later, which is
she
good.
does in the show.
Yeah, dude, that whole season is such a blur to me. I'm gonna be
Okay,
needing
well,
that recap.
there's a part where Pedro Pascal gets shot or something, and so Ellie takes him on a horse to some other place. So
Ah,
she does end up needing to know how to ride a horse.
right. I don't know if anyone was like, "How should you know how to ride a horse?" You know, because
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think people
I
could
mean, I
like
think I could figure
guess.
it out.
Yeah,
I've ridden a horse before, but I don't remember how to do it. So I feel like if I needed to ride a horse, I could figure out how to
you just like
tell him where to go,
or whatever, and then that's it.
or like kind of just like jerk to the right or jerk to the left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's probably pretty intuitive. So Winston, he has a tent set up in the mall, and I feel like living in the mall is such a bad spot in an apocalypse to live because you'd either get snuck up on by just like random infected that walk in, or if there's just like people walking by, they're like, "Hey, let's see if we can loot that mall." Like over there, it's like a big building, you know, presumably. So if people are just walking by, they're like, "Let me go check that out."
I don't know if you'd like go to a mall for like resources.
There's like outdoor stores and stuff like that,
Oh yeah, true. Go to
or like
Shields,
clothes. Yeah, go to Shields, or like go to
but surely that had been like ransacked already.
You'd think so, but you wouldn't know until you go in there. So I'm saying it's like a magnet for just people that are trying to loot stuff. Like even if you just find like a sweater to get you through like a cold season, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's worth checking out at least.
yeah. Like I'm just walking around in the apocalypse, like preparing for zombies in like a Gucci jacket.
Or like you're in the mall and you're just kind of looking for a sweater and you're like, do you think I should check the back and see if they have this in like extra large? You know, see if they have any extra any extra sizes. But yeah, that's issue 2. So we'll go to chapter 3. And these covers, by the way, are incredible. I think they're Totino Tedesco.
Oh, I was like, these are fucking fire. What is this like? The signature is like a TT or whatever.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it is Julian Totino Tedesco, who's like the fucking best cover artist ever. I don't know where he's at as well. I feel like I haven't seen his shit in a while.
Did he ever do interiors or just covers?
He's done a couple interiors. He's done a couple anthologies. He did
Hmm.
a Spider-Man anthology when they had like one of the big numbers, and he did a story with Brad Meltzer.
Okay.
That was like a 4 to 8 pager, I think.
Hmm.
And but I don't think he's done any like long form comics, which
Okay.
sucks because he's great. But he just does covers.
Yeah, this
But I would
chapter
too.
3 one is like probably my favorite.
Yeah, super cool. But anyway, Ellie and Riley go to check out the source of the explosion that they heard in the mall, and they find some fireflies that are getting shot at by soldiers. Riley ended up taking 2 smoke grenades from Winston that she stole. So to help the fireflies escape, they throw the smoke grenades to create cover for them, and so those civilians run off. But then they're discovered by the soldiers. They start getting shot at, so they run off. And while they're hiding, they run into an infected woman that starts attacking them. Riley nearly gets bit, but they manage to kill the infected, and they try to escape more infected that are coming after them. But they get saved by a group of fireflies who call Ellie by name, and they're then both blindfolded and taken.
So we get to
Uh,
see a bit of like newly infected people and like kind of what that looks
yeah,
like.
it's very interesting because it's a much different design than the show, or I think even the game kind of takes. They look more zombie than like fungal
It's essentially what it
sort of
is,
infected.
you know.
Yeah, it is, but like you have like a little twist. You know what I mean? Like I feel like in most zombie things, it's just like, oh, they came back alive, and I don't really know why. But in this, they have an explanation of why corpses are running around. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but in this comic specifically, you don't really see, I don't know, mushrooms growing off people's faces too much. They just kind of look like zombies, and I just thought that was interesting.
They definitely look like injured, but
They look undead for sure.
a cool thing that they do is that they make like the background like this blood orange color when they're being like
Hmm.
attacked, and it just like
Yeah,
it just heightens like the intensity of the scene. And then as soon
yeah.
as like they like kill one or whatever, then it goes back to like blues and like the nighttime colors.
Hmm.
And I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a good storytelling device because when there's not much to focus on, like when you're looking at the panel, like the backgrounds and like bricks and stuff, there's a lot to sort of for your mind to sort of look at. But when the background's like one consistent color, you're focused more on like the fight itself, and you're able to process it a little quicker. So the
Sure.
pacing of it is changed like pretty drastically, and so the fight feels faster, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So she clearly knows how to lead like the reader's eye in like a really effective way.
Hmm.
And I really wish that a lot of comics leaned into like action lettering as much as this book does, because it's so fun like feeling the action in such like a big way. Because like with a lot of the even like the gunfire and stuff, like you just see a lot of that. Or if there's big explosions, like the lettering takes up most of the panel, which is pretty fun. And it serves so much to create such a big moment. Even when they're getting attacked by the infected, like the you hear like the screams or like the moans of like the actual infected, and it's like all green and stuff. I think it serves really well in this story.
One of my favorite sound effects is used, and what's her friend's name? Riley or something?
Riley.
Riley. She gets like tased, and then she falls on the ground, and it's just flump. And I think that's just like the perfect way to spell that out. Just
Flump
like
is a very satisfying
it's
like
like flump.
lettering noise.
Yeah, and because that's just how I feel. Like it sounds like when I just like flop onto a bed or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they've nailed that one for sure.
Yeah, the like lady that's in this that
Hmm.
knows Ellie, is she from the show? Like the
Yeah.
first episode or whatever?
Yeah, that's Marlene.
Marlene? Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't
she's like
sure.
the leader of the Fireflies in the show. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's a leader in this, or at least I didn't get that. She's like the leader of this little group. I don't think she's the leader of like all of the Fireflies necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's in the show.
Okay.
So, chapter 4, Ellie wakes up. She's like kind of tied down in a Firefly base. Marlene is there, who gives Ellie an envelope and tells her to open it when she gets back to the city. So, they plan on letting them go just to go back. Riley gets denied joining the Fireflies when she says that she wants to join. There's like two guys, just random guys that show up and they want to tax the Fireflies for using like their smuggler tunnel. And so it ends up just going into a shootout. Riley helps take out the two guys when she takes one of the men's guns and shoots them. And then Marlene, after like the shootout's done, Marlene threatens Riley to like scare her out of wanting to join the Fireflies. Ellie steps up to defend Riley and then, diffuses the whole thing. Then Marlene tells Ellie that her mother was called Anna and that she will probably tell Ellie more about her mother when the time is right. And so they let both Ellie and Riley leave and they just head back to the city. And Riley like she reads the note on her bed. But we don't get to see what the note is. So I'm a little I'm pissed at that because I want to read what it says. But I assume it's part of the game or the show or something. So
Yeah.
probably the game. I don't know when this was released. Was the show out when this was released?
Oh, I have no clue.
First print edition, October 2013. So a little bit before the show. That doesn't sound right. I feel like it
Oh
would
wait,
have been.
yeah. From Dark Horse.
Yeah. Is it 2013?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I guess a little after the games, I guess.
Yeah. Must be.
That's
So that
cool.
would even be before the second Last of Us because I think that one came out in like 2016 or 18 or something.
They should do that more.
What sequels?
Like prequel comics.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, but this is like a good action scene shootout when the at like the Firefly base happens. Like there's a couple pages of action that I think flow really well and really easily because like the dialogue goes silent, but it's like just a couple pages of like raw action and shootout, which I think is cool. Especially in a book that's only like 100 pages, they have a good amount of time dedicated to just like the flow of action, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of was hoping for. I don't know. I wouldn't mind if this was like a little longer, you
Yeah, me
know.
neither.
And I think I was kind of hoping for like a bit more rather than just kind of little tidbits that come later, you know?
Hmm.
Maybe just like I guess Winston's kind of this character, but like a character that comes in is like a part of it and then is like just gone. and not a part of the original thing, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Because
Because there's a good amount of those kind of characters. It seems like, because like the
yeah,
show, to my understanding, really adapted more of like Nick Offerman's character in the show. Because in the game, he's just like he's kind of like a side character, but you don't really know that much about him. You just kind of know that his husband died. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But
they definitely expanded
they
on that.
expanded that in like one of the most beautiful episodes of television I've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like I cried that episode, dude. It was so sad.
little bitch.
Dude, I was a fucking wreck. I was like, this is so sad, and like, I was just so impressed by Nick Offerman's performance the whole time. But
Yeah.
yeah, but that like, I think they have opportunity to do that in the comic, which I would have enjoyed to seeing a little bit more of. But
So she got like
you
a
know,
knife that was like her mom's. Does she have like? Does she normally have like a knife or something?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know.
Not that I remember.
I'll
He
play it
probably
and I'll
does.
let you know.
They they like they put a lot of focus on just the switchblade, so I assume it's something that she's known to have.
Okay.
But you know, there's a part where Marlene like threatens to like kneecap Riley for wanting to join the Fireflies, and I think that's a little crazy. Yeah, I figure she wasn't going to, but like the threat of it is wild.
Yeah.
Like just shooting a child. But yeah, and then when they go back into the city, are they climbing over the same fence? You think? It's not really shown, but I don't know why they would need to like jump around a bunch of rooftops to get out, but then to get in they just like climb back the same fence, I guess.
I assume so. That
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the same way they came. You want to get into back matter matters?
Yep.
Back matter matters.
So we got some concept sketches and designs by Faith Erin Hicks, so the artist of the book, and they're kind of trying to flesh out a general style, translating Ellie and Riley into the page. So it's pretty cool. And then there's a design for the arcade cabinet that they were kind of geeking out over, which is the turning, I think is what the game is called.
Yeah.
And there's just like this character with like Wolverine claws type thing, so that's pretty fun too.
I thought that was like Riley with like claws.
Yeah, and I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
That
I
would
was
be
like,
kind of
I
sick.
missed that bit.
What an interesting apocalypse weapon that would be, because you still have to get pretty up close
Yeah.
to
It's as
infected
useful
to
as like
use
a
those.
knife or like a hammer or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, pretty much. And then there's like initial ideas for like the promotion of this book. I guess there's like a whole page where I guess Faith Erin Hicks was trying to flesh out the feel of like an apocalypse forest, and so it's just like Ellie walking around with like some ruins in the forest and stuff, and then just some promotional images. But I think this book would have been pretty awesome as like a black and white book too, just based off of that alone.
Yeah, definitely. The color does add to it, but I think
Yeah,
Faith Erin
color's
Hicks,
great
like,
in this.
yeah, her art alone is very impressive.
Yeah, but pretty cool. Not a huge back matter. But
Mm-hmm.
what would you rate this book, Daniel?
I would rate it a stuffed mushroom, Nathan.
Ooh, nice.
My wife makes the best stuffed mushrooms, and
She
it's
does.
the only mushroom thing that I could think of at the time.
They're quick to eat too. Like I
Yeah,
feel like I read this whole
little
thing in like an
snack.
hour. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah,
stuffed mushroom is good. I'd give this like a mushroom pizza.
nice.
You know, that's an underrated topping. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So especially on a pizza, and you know, this is an underrated book. This is an underrated genre, like apocalypse YA. I feel like, because
Yeah.
the only ones I've really read is the Clementine one and now this one,
Mm-hmm.
and I really enjoy both of them. I haven't read the second Clementine though yet. I think I have it somewhere.
Yeah, and I think 3 comes out this summer or something.
Hell yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
pretty good book overall. I really enjoyed it as a sort of normie Last of Us enjoyer. This shit's great.
Do you think any video games that have come out recently deserve like a prequel comic?
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
I know there's a manga, but dude, I have no idea what the fuck is going on in that game. I'm lost constantly. But I know there's like it's like one of those things where you know it's probably the deepest lore ever. There's probably like a 10-hour YouTube video explaining it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, maybe like Starfield. It's like from the people that made like Fallout
Yeah,
and
that
stuff
could be
like that.
cool.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like established things that your character's just kind of getting into, but it would be kind of cool to see a RPG style sci-fi thing,
Yeah, for sure.
like space opera.
So let's get into the poll list. Polling.
Shove it in your box.
The poll list, the poll list. What did you shove in your box? We got coming this week.
Dude, it's also another big week. I gotta like start making cuts.
That dude, I've been doing it this whole time.
Man, because I plan on picking up Absolute Superman #6, Ultimate X-Men 13,
14,
Absolute Green Lantern #1's coming out. I didn't realize it was like this soon, but that's gonna be pretty cool. Daredevil, A Cold Day in Hell, which is like Old Man Daredevil with Charles Soule and Steve McNiven. So you gotta pick that up.
Yeah.
Resurrection Man.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually so excited for, but I'm so sad that it comes out this week because it's like such a big week.
Yeah.
I might have to let this one be a devil because that the second issue comes out of that. But I actually was surprised at how much I enjoyed the first issue, so I want to give it another chance.
Yeah.
And then, or like another read. And then Godzilla Heist #2. And I believe that's everything.
Just cut Heist, dude.
I gotta cut Heists, I think.
And there's also Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe one last time. I've
seen it.
I don't know, man.
I've seen him kill the universe.
I might wait for the trailer on that one. I don't think there's any value in getting the first one.
Yeah.
And I don't really itch for that sort of thing anymore.
Right.
I wanted to show you some stuff that I got.
Okay.
Give me a second, actually. And I got
treated yourself.
Oh, I don't know if you can see that. The DC versus Marvel
Omnibus. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Isn't that sweet?
What
Look at that
the
spine.
fuck? How much was that? Like $100?
Yeah.
Damn. That's so cool though.
This has all those like crossover issues, like the Batman and Daredevil stuff.
Oh, cool.
There's like a
that's incredible.
Yeah, isn't that sweet?
Yeah, I'm so jealous actually.
Yeah. You can borrow it.
I will.
Because
for sure.
Like a lot of these are like hard to find. Like I looked at the list and then looked to see if I could just find them individually. And like you can't find them digitally, or you have to pay a bunch of money for the hard copies. And so I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, that's a valuable one. Like especially since you can't find it digitally. Like if you decided like I really want to read the Daredevil Batman crossover, it'd be really hard to do.
They really should have omnibuses available digitally, I think.
They do.
Some of them.
Don't they?
Not like everything. Yeah, some things, yeah. But I bought that because the amalgam one like sold out everywhere, and now it's like the price is like hiked up to like $100 more than it already is. And so I kind of got like I got like sketched out, and so I bought that one.
Yeah, I think something like that you definitely just kind of have to rip it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was like so long since like those came out, you know, and they're just so far out of print, and it was like a lot of those things you just kind of like heard about, you know, like the crossover and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
then especially all the amalgam stuff. So I just I got like FOMO, you know. And
totally.
And then with like enough grinding and searching on eBay, I got the amalgam one too.
No way! What?
It's got a Jim Lee cover.
Dude, that's absurd.
With the Dark Claw.
Yeah, Dark Claw.
It's got the same kind of like spine with like the characters on it.
Whoa, dude, that is crazy shit.
Yeah, dude.
Wait, how much was that? How much did you have to pay for that?
So this has the DC versus Marvel issues and then all the amalgam issues. So I was like searching the auctions on like eBay, and the new ones, you know, like were selling for like $250, you know. And I just like made sure I searched every day for it.
Yeah.
And this one has like a bit of damage like on the cover, like
I guess
the dust cover,
like
and so the dude sold it as used, and so I got it for like the cover price, but it's like used, and I'm like,
nice,
I'm okay with that.
That's great.
I
wouldn't have even noticed.
Yeah, and so like I had been looking at those since they came out like in the winter, and I'm like, that's cool. I might get that someday, you know.
Yeah.
And then when you like check again and it's just like gone and just like unavailable, you're just like,
Oh,
what
it
the
feels
fuck
so
happened?
bad.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I had more of like an urge to get it once there was like the opportunity, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So
That's
I'm pretty fucking
pretty
stoked.
sick.
I got them like
Yeah.
last week, so I was like hiding them, you know? Get it easier.
Like I was gonna look around your fucking house.
I don't know. I didn't want to have them like obvious anywhere, you know? So
It would be funny if you put them up and just waited for me to like notice them and see how long that would take.
I mean, I put my omnibuses behind me, so I feel like you would have noticed eventually.
Yeah.
But what did you read, Nathan? Did you get a chance to read anything since Wednesday?
Yeah. No, we're trying to do a book a day, so I read 4 books because
Good stuff.
we're doubling up a couple stuff. But I read the Vigilante Eagly book, the number 1
Yeah.
that came out with the James Gunn, Tim Seeley, Mitch Gerards, and then there's another creative team for the Eagly portion of it. I didn't realize that was how this story was going to work, but it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I haven't read that yet.
It's fun. It definitely feels like the crassness of the show. So, and like the kind of ridiculousness of like the vigilante character, but it's very clearly like adapting it from the show. I was kind of curious how they're going to handle that, even though I figured it was probably going to be that way. But, Mitch draws the actor that plays vigilante in the show, and it's like, he has a really interesting style with him.
Okay.
So it's fun. And it's fun to see Mitch Gerards do like sort of more comedy sort of acting and stuff as well. Because he's kind of a silly character. And, see Mitch just draw John Cena. I'm like, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
But, the story itself is kind of like, once I read it, I was like, this makes sense for a vigilante story. And then there's an Eagly portion of it, which is also a pretty fun artist. That was a fun portion of it as well. I don't think I'll get the next one just because there's a lot of books right now, but I think it's a fun issue. And it was cool. We met Mitch Gerards, but he came to do a signing at the shop, so we got that signed, which is pretty sweet. I also read Absolute Martian Manhunter. Matteo Lolli.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you reading?
Right. I read Absolute Martian Manhunter, probably my most anticipated book so far this year, I would say.
Yeah.
Did you read it too, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Like, it's like a lot. I didn't really know what to expect. I tried to like not, know anything really going into it.
I think it's like exactly what I expected.
Yeah. Based
off of what they showed us,
I don't know what they're doing with it yet, which is cool. Like, I like the mystery there.
I think I do.
Well, I just don't know the relationship between this detective and like Martian Manhunter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I thought they were one and the same, but like they might be. But at the same time, the art on it is pretty incredible. There's like a lot of representation of like reading people's minds, but like not really knowing how to control it, and it seems very stressful. And so when he kind of spirals into like those pages, I think Javier Rodriguez was doing some pretty incredible stuff. It's not afraid to be colorful either, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, that's like the best part.
And I can honestly say like the last page is something that I've never seen anybody do in comics before, and it was really cool.
It's kind of gimmicky.
No, I thought it was great. I'm like, this is something I can honestly say I've never seen someone do before. So I thought
it was
cool.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. I just thought it was like meh, because like I think if this came out, I don't know. I almost wish I like read it without like seeing the cover, even, like just be able to like experience it without having any idea of like what it could be, and then I'd like it way more because I'd be like, what the fuck is this? It's so weird, But like when you see like all this like promotion and like the covers and stuff, you kind of get an idea of like what it is. And
you kind of know that's like forgetting like
how weird it is for it to be like this,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's really well done. Great art and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And then I read the Saga 71 and 72.
Okay.
So I think I'm like officially caught up on Saga.
You are. Congratulations. You're ahead of me. I haven't read 72 yet.
What a fucking fake fan you are, you know what I mean?
Did you read We Take Everyone Down With Us?
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah, I read that. It's pretty good. It's not quite what I thought it was, or like how it was like sold to me, but really good stuff. Really well done. I was
Cool.
like just kind of not really feeling it, you know? And then like I read the last page and I'm like, they got me. They got, I'm like, fuck.
I
I'm
love
like,
those books.
I'm going for two, you know?
I'm
So,
like, they got me back in.
so yeah, it's good. I liked it.
I plan on reading that. There's a couple of really exciting books out right now that, mm, like, that I'm excited to read. I feel like like the comics this year have been pretty stellar. I feel like.
Yeah, it's been exciting so far. I read The Deviant #9,
Oh, nice.
so the last issue of that.
Yep, finally came out.
Yeah. I don't know if it was necessarily worth like the wait, but it was like good. It was like an ending that you couldn't necessarily like predict. And
Mhm.
I thought it was like well done. I like reading it, I'm like, this is such a good book. Like just the way it like, looks really good. It's just put together
Oh
really
yeah,
well. There's a part that was funny. You remember like the FBI agent who's like always vaping?
yeah, the vaping guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So like he knows that someone's like leaving this bar as he's like arriving, and they're like, the killer, he's in there. And he's like, and then he tells the guy like, go call the police. He like goes up to the door. He's like, and then goes in. I thought it was so fucking funny. Just one
Just a
last hit
quick
in
hit.
case he dies.
Gotta make it a good one.
He's like in like the bar and he's like breathing out the smoke.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm like, he's true to himself.
That's funny.
But yeah, I think I'm not like telling you need to like read like volume 2, but if you want to enjoy comics the same amount that you did the first one, I think the second trade is like it's consistent.
Right.
So
That's cool. I mean, I think that's good. Like the Joshua Hickson stuff on that first trade that we read is really, really strong, I feel like.
yeah,
So
he's
if he keeps
awesome.
that up, then that's cool.
I need him on lots of stuff.
Yeah, totally. I got my I got my Joshua Hickson work up there. Can't
Wow,
see it, but
we can't see it.
bit of a
So
flex. I
it's
just see the Moon Knight one.
yeah. When you export it, it won't show in like the frame. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you don't have it actually.
I'll go get it. Nah, I don't want to.
Who was at the bar with us last night?
Our name's Patience.
That's weird because I actually read a book called Patience.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. That's been on your shelf for a bit.
yeah. I like this back cover a lot actually. It's
Yeah, that should be the main one.
yeah, I know. This is by Daniel Klaus. It's actually kind of thick. It's like 170 pages.
Yeah. You read that whole thing?
Yeah, it was like I read it like over like last week.
Oh, okay.
So I was listening to a podcast and Stephen Colbert brought Daniel Klaus up,
What the hell?
and it was on David Cross's podcast, and he was saying that like he loved like Daniel Klaus's like last 3 books. I'm like, you read comics, you know?
David Cross seems like the kind of guy that would.
Yeah, and then I looked up interviews, and I guess Daniel Klaus was on like Mark Maron's podcast, and they were
Mhm.
talking about this book like when it came out in like 2016. And this is like a Fantagraphics book, and that's like kind of the stuff that he does, like indie stuff.
Right.
He kind of has like a zine kind of like style to it. You
Mhm.
know, it's a lot of captions and whatnot. It's like kind of wordy, but like not. It's got like good flow to it. I picked up this one like a year ago, maybe because I was looking up like trippy books, and this is one that came up. This is like a double page spread that I thought was like kind of neat.
Oh yeah.
And so it's
Wait,
like,
that's awesome.
yeah, it's like a murder mystery kind of thing where this dude, he's like trying to like solve his wife's murder, but using like a time machine that he doesn't know how to use, you know?
I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It actually ends pretty well. It's a little slow as far as like me figuring out like what the charm of like or the nuance to Daniel Klaus books are. You know, I think I when you hear like all these endorsements, I'm like, all right, what are people like into? Like, what are they talking about, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's just like really good like storytelling and whatnot. And I thought it ended pretty well, and it's just great visuals and whatnot. And I guess this book is like one of his like toned down as far as detail in the artwork.
Really.
So yeah, I've kind of been trying to like get into his stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Seems like
His name's Daniel. I'm partial to it. So
got a support. That's pretty cool.
yeah, I'm not exactly even sure how it ended. Like I don't know if I understand
Hell yeah.
what happened, And I'm like, I think I know, but there's no way to like confirm that I'm right.
Right. That's funny. That seems interesting. Yeah, it seems like a healthy kind of indie book for the soul.
Yeah. That was kind of what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch anything new?
No, but I played a new game.
Okay.
It's one that's been out for a while that I have like vague awareness of. It's called Inscription. It's on like Game Pass and stuff like that, and I recommend it. But like, it was on my radar because people talk about it, and they like can't talk about it without spoiling like what the twist of the game is in general. And I was like, that's kind of
I
interesting.
think I
But
heard
like
about this.
at the surface, it's like a card game, like a card deck builder game with like really creepy vibes. And I've only played it for 2 or 3 hours now, and the game mechanic itself is like pretty fun, and I'm starting to uncover like the mystery, but I can't tell if the twist is something that like I've already discovered, but it's just like it's a lot more than what it leads on to be, and it's so interesting. But I don't know, it's been out for a while, so I'll just kind of tell you what I've experienced so far. But you're just like in this cabin with this dude that it's like a dark room, so you can only see his eyes, and whenever he talks, they turn into like weird, like swirly, sort of orange eyes, and
Okay.
so vibes are like really fucking creepy.
Yeah.
And the card game itself is just like you get different animals, and you have to like put them on four. There's like 4 lanes, and if there's not an animal to stop your animal from attacking, then it takes away your life. And then there's like sacrificing and stuff in the game. But as you're like playing it and you're getting more cards and stuff like that, the guy is like, when you first die, you get killed in real life and then resurrected, and you're just in the cabin still, but then you can walk around the cabin, and I think there's things that you figure out throughout the course of the game to figure out how to escape, but you have to do it in a manner that doesn't trip off like the dude, like this like shadowy figure. You know what I mean? So you're like stuck in a cabin, and I'm looking at like the rules of the game, and as I'm like trying to figure out what this specific card does, there's like a code, and I'm like, oh, there's a safe over there that has 3 digits, and there's 3 digits here that seem out of place. And so I like go to the safe like secretively and put in the safe thing, and it works, and like opens up a thing, and I get a new card, and the card's like talking to me and stuff like that. So it's like a really trippy experience, and there's a lot of stuff I haven't figured out yet, but are really interesting. Like there's a random door that has like flashing lights like on the other side of it, like kind of coming through the bottom of the door and just kind of like out the seams. So the game's really good at directing you without feeling like it's holding your hand necessarily.
That's
So
good.
I really enjoy the concept of it so far.
It's just like a solo game.
Yeah, solo game, it's really fucking creepy. And like there's times where I'll like when I'm going to enter in the safe code, I'm like, if this motherfucker pops up behind me right now, I'm gonna shit my pants. So like it creates an environment that's like really kind of creepy. And I feel like there's gonna be a bigger twist to come because I haven't unlocked all the things yet. But yeah, super enjoyable experience.
Nice.
So definitely a good supporter of like an indie game if you want to do that. It's on Game Pass if you have that. I think the game itself is only like $5, but they did a lot with little, and I kind of like those games. So I'm enjoying it so far.
Nice. I watched a show called The Studio on
Oh
Apple
yeah,
Plus.
the Seth Rogen one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
heard
it.
good things.
Yeah, it's interesting so far. It's like I think the way he sells it is like everything's just like the bear now, with like stress inducing, and like
Okay.
anxiety watches and whatnot. But he's like a studio head for like a film company or whatever. And it's like he just got like the big job and like everything's going like wrong, it seems like.
Mm,
And he's like really bad at his job, but and he's kind of like a super unlikable character just because like he just fucks up a lot, you know.
mm,
He like gives up his values and whatnot just to make the boss happy and shit like that.
right.
But there was the second episode. They had like a 2 episode premiere. Is like the whole episode's a oneer, which is like one shot, no cuts. you know?
Oh, cool.
And that episode is about them going on set where in the movie that they're filming in the show, there's also a oneer that keeps getting messed up.
What
So it's
the
like this
fuck?
super meta thing. And he's the one that basically keeps fucking up the oneer that they're doing in the show or in the movie. And
So it's a wonder of them trying to do a wonder in a movie, but they keep
exactly.
fucking it up.
And so
That's
imagine
awesome.
fucking filming that, you know?
Imagine actually fucking it up. You know what I mean? Like, do you think you fucked up fucking up the fuck up? You know what I mean? And it's
Absolutely.
like they
Yeah.
just go with it.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. But this last one, like Sarah like couldn't watch it because of like how much shit is like just getting fucked up, you know?
Really?
She like
Like couldn't watch it because it was like
yeah. Yeah, there's like
secondhand embarrassment.
cringe things and like Seth Rogen's being like annoying, you know? He's like getting good feedback, so he thinks people like him. But actually people didn't even want him on set at all that day. You know, right. So he just like won't leave and just like causing problems. He doesn't like he's not really like aware of like how annoying he's being.
Gotcha.
So
that's interesting because I got the concept that he was gonna be more of a character that like is in this position and wants art to like good art to succeed in like a environment where there's like everything has to be like a franchise that like makes $1 billion or whatever.
That's what he
seems
wants.
Like he's
but
yeah,
he still has
that
to like
been
answer to like a boss, you know.
Yeah. But it seems good. I mean, a lot of people are kind of talking about it, and it's definitely piqued my interest. But if I get Apple Plus, I have to do Severance, so it'll be a while before I get to it, I think. But
yeah, it's only like $10.
I need to get your password for that.
I'll give you Mom's got the password.
All right, I'll get the password.
And then we watched Death of a Unicorn.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, last night.
Last night, still fresh on the nog.
It's been described as A24's Jurassic Park.
Really?
By
Bold.
Letterboxd reviewers.
That's crazy.
I think it kind of gives that vibe for sure.
I didn't really know anything about this going in. I just knew it was kind of like Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, A24, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. And like unicorns, stuff like that. And it's an enjoyable movie, but I think it lacks something that A24 typically brings, and I don't really know what it is. You know, I think in general, like the concept of it's pretty fun, and I enjoyed myself. But it's a horror comedy, but I don't think it particularly excels at either one of those things necessarily.
Yeah,
because they have really great comedic talent and really great dramatic talent, but no one like really gets the space to breathe in those particular areas.
Sure.
But what I do like about it is that seeing Paul Rudd in a horror situation is kind of funny. Like seeing him have to like run away from something.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess not.
So I like that people are kind of doing things that are different from outside what they normally do, but there's parts of it where it's like, oh, this is the comedy part. You know what I mean? And NoHo Hank is like supposed to make a funny face, you know, and like say, I don't want to do that kind of thing. But like I've laughed way harder at different Paul Rudd things or like at different NoHo Hank things, whatever his name is, or just like pretty much all those characters. But I do think Will Poulter fucking rules in this movie.
He definitely shined in this.
Yeah, I think he acts circles around everybody. Just because like that's the nature of his character is just a goof who's like too overconfident and stuff like that.
I thought everyone was like acting like 10 out of 10 at this, you know, as far as like
really
what it is. I thought they were like all going for it, you know.
Yeah, they were all
was like boring.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I think the unicorn design is pretty awesome too. It's just, you know, really interesting trying to see it and trying to figure out how it works because there's like it's not like just a horse with a horn, you know, there's things that are kind of magical going on around it. And trying to discover what that is, I think is pretty interesting. But I don't think they answer all the questions necessarily.
Like what?
Really like the only one that I didn't really understand why they put it in is like there's lights that are in the sky that kind of make it seem like fuck, what do they call that?
Like an apocalypse?
No, it's like, I don't know, the Northern Lights. There's like Northern Lights type lights that are like in the sky. And I assume that's just like where the unicorns kind of are vaguely, but I thought that was going to be like something more than that.
It kind of made it seem like it was like a time factor. Like they kept looking at it, and as it got like bigger, like as if they were running out of time or something.
Yeah.
But
I wasn't, it seemed, just it was approaching or like something was coming up and you should feel weird about it. But what I think is interesting about it, or where I think it kind of falls, or just an inconsistency, is when you first hear the unicorn, it sounds like kind of a horse mixed with something else, you know? But then they just kind of bail on that idea. And when you see the unicorn from then on, it's just typical horror movie like monster noise. And it doesn't sound like a horse anymore. It just makes monster noise.
I
You know what I
think
mean?
that's like when they're angry.
I know, but then they don't like go back to the cute, majestic horse noise. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, oh, I
Maybe
wish
that's what
they
the
would have
baby
tried
one
to.
sounded like. Was more
Yeah,
horsey.
yeah, that could be true too. But I don't know.
I thought the blending of genres like worked because like I think when you have like a genre movie, then you're kind of just focusing on like the one thing that that genre does. But like
Hmm.
having like all these different like elements in it, even with like fantasy and stuff like that, it's like a little bit of everything to kind of fill in like the runtime. So I don't
Right.
think it necessarily had to be. I think I kind of enjoy stuff like that where it's like a
Hmm.
bit of everything in a way, but it has like just enough comedy to me think it's a funny movie and just enough like tense moments to think where a lot of shit can be like actually kind of scary. There were some parts that
Yeah.
like got me on this, you know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I wasn't like looking at it. Um, I was like playing into like probably how they wanted me to watch it, you know. And I wasn't like trying to think about what was going to happen next.
Oh,
And so
okay.
as that was going, I just like let it play out. Like it, some things I'm like, fuck, okay, you know. And I
Yeah.
thought they did pretty good at like the making like a unicorn like scary, you know.
Yeah, I think they did really well with that. The design of it, I think, is definitely a highlight. I was watching it and I was kind of trying to figure out, or like not even figure out, but like just kind of assume what happens next. And for the most part, it's not like they're trying to trick you with very much of this movie. So
Yeah,
it leaves it to be kind of a predictable movie,
sure,
but not really in like a bad way. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting watch. I think this would have been like, if this was like just on stream, I would have been like, this would have been a good, movie. You know what I mean? But watching it in theaters, I'm like, I probably could have waited for streaming
sure,
at the same time. So
yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was fun. I like seeing Paul Rudd do different things other than just like, well, I guess he is this in this movie too, where he's just white guy trying to figure it all out and keep things together. You know what I mean?
He's pretty like unlikable though, which I don't
He
think we see a lot
was.
of.
Yeah. Yeah, he was, which is interesting. Like I get his motivations and what he's like ultimately trying to do, but he's kind of misdirected in how he should be approaching things. So, but Jenna Ortega, I think, was really good in this too.
Yeah, she always is just kind of like going for it and does really well.
Yeah,
I think she's
there's a lot of like, there's like a good crying scene with her, and I was like, this is pretty good actually.
yeah.
So,
Spoilers for like the end, but like Paul Rudd like gets like stabbed, and there's
yeah.
like she's like describing like this trippy moment she had with like the unicorn, and the way she described
Hmm.
that to kind of like comfort her dad as he was like dying, I thought was so good. Just
Yeah.
compared to like other things like that, other like
Yeah.
death scenes or whatever, I just thought it was really good. It like got to me. I was getting teared up. I'm like, oh, here we go. I didn't think it was
Yeah.
gonna end well necessarily, but I thought that like went well.
Yeah. I was like, how do we wrap this up necessarily? But yeah, to the ending, I'm like, it ended, and I'm like, this would have just been better if they never hit the unicorn in the first place. It's not like their interaction with the unicorn helped the unicorns in any way or helped people in any way other than just like, I don't know, killing a couple billionaires.
Yeah, I mean,
So the unicorns just like happened to, be able to just keep living their lives, I guess.
yeah, like undo everything.
But if they never hit the unicorn in the beginning, it's like none of this, nothing would have been changed overall. They wouldn't have discovered the cure for cancer anyway. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, but even though they like
uh,
had it, it's not like they have it now. You know?
yeah, I think Paul Rudd in real life found a unicorn because that dude looks the same. Like ever since he's been in movies, he's looked the same pretty
Yeah,
much. So he must have found some. He must have got some unicorn blood on him in real life.
yeah. Same with like the mom in this movie. What was her name?
The actress,
Yeah,
it is Tia Leone.
Yeah, she looks like the same.
Dude, yeah, I know. I was like, she looks younger than like I feel like the last thing I've seen her in, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Which is like Fomentic and Jane. I'm like, wow, you know,
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
I
and
was
I
like,
think
good for
Will
her.
Poulter kills this as well. He's just like the most entertaining person on the screen, and like I think probably the funniest joke that gets me the most is when they discovered that it like cures cancer, and Will Poulter's like, "That's the biggest one,"
Yeah,
and I was like, "That's a good joke. I like that," and like his delivery of it's good too. But yeah, it's a fun movie overall. I definitely recommend. Like it's worth the watch for sure.
yeah. I don't think anyone would
Um,
necessarily be like disappointed by it. You know,
yeah,
it's getting like a little
but
bit
I
of heat,
think but I think of like A24 movies and stuff like that, it's just like a little bit different, and so it won't be one of those movies that I think sits with you for like a while, like a Hereditary or something like that would.
yeah, I can't imagine it like ranks very high in like the all of A24 ranking. You know,
Yeah.
but
Do you see
uh,
people doing like the A24 like March Madness brackets?
yeah,
And I'm like, it's just gonna be Hereditary or Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like
basically,
we don't have to do this.
uh-huh.
But yeah, fun movie.
Yeah, Nathan, I want to throw some ideas at you.
Okay.
It's like unnecessary sequels to like perfect comics. I was coming up with
Ooh,
like some
okay.
names and some concepts. So I have a sequel to Watchmen. It's called Watch They Them. It's a
Okay.
woke sequel.
Okay, good. Because the
So
first one wasn't woke.
exactly.
The first one was pro-war in every sense of the word.
hmm We have Superman for all signs. It's all the different horoscopes, you know, and he.
Mm,
I don't really have a concept for it, but not just seasons. It's all the signs. Mercury's in
for all
retrograde
signs.
and how Superman reacts to that.
Okay.
hmm
Am I
hmm
supposed to pick one that after all these will happen,
No,
or you just kind of came up
I
with
don't think
ideas?
anything would happen. I just thought that it was kind
Okay.
of funny.
Yeah. Okay.
Batman: The Long Thanksgiving Weekend. So you know, the
He
following
means the
holiday
family.
after Halloween, he spends Thanksgiving with his in-laws, the Al Ghouls. You know, and
Yeah.
just how that ensues.
I like that idea.
Okay, yeah,
I think that's worthy.
there's something there.
If man, I wish Tim Sale was still with us.
Oh yeah, the comebacks. It's like the Runaways, but they just like come back. That's
Like,
it.
oh hey,
Yeah.
where'd you guys
Oh,
go?
you're back.
Welcome. That's funny.
Green Lantern, the bigger, blacker night.
I like that.
Yeah.
Even scarier. You
Yep.
gotta you gotta you gotta up the stakes somehow.
Yeah. It just keeps getting bigger, you know.
The the blackest of nights.
So we got a sequel to Preacher, but it's called Atheist. And
Whoa.
instead of using the voice of God, Jesse Custer uses science and reason to
Hmm.
get people to do things.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Bring up some stats, maybe.
Exactly. Why the last grandpa? So when they're repopulating Earth, everyone is like half siblings. You know how like if like the dude why
Hmm.
if he has like a bunch of kids, all those kids with different moms, they're all gonna be half
Oh.
siblings.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean. So it's still the same guy, but he's just grandpa now.
Yeah,
Okay, I like that
right.
as the sequel.
We have Fables. It's just rebooted. It's like a new story with like the newest public domain editions.
That'd be
So
sick.
yeah, so
Winnie the Pooh,
Winnie the Pooh. You have the new Mickey or the old Mickey or
Mickey,
whatever.
fucking Superman,
Exactly.
first Superman. I don't think he's public domain yet, but pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. We have the Sandman, and it's just Adam Sandler, and he has Morpheus powers, and
That would be sick too.
he turns the dreaming like that place where he lives. It's just like he just turns into Hawaii. You know.
Yeah. A vacation shoot spot.
Exactly. Exactly.
That'd be good.
We have four kids walk into a credit union,
Yes. Yep.
and instead of robbing
They,
the bank, they open high yield savings accounts
yeah,
because
they
they're
get their
adults
credit
now.
started early.
Right.
What is it, the dad that went to jail? He just does community service and gets out on good behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. He got out early. Wait, the dad
But
went to jail?
there's like somebody went to jail, didn't they? Or someone was about to go to jail.
I don't remember. I think the
I
kids
can't.
would.
Hmm.
I guess I need
Anyway,
to
I
reread
like
that.
that. I like the idea of them getting their credit started early. You almost need that now. The housing market now. You almost need that now with how the housing market is.
Exactly.
What about Batman?
Oh, you got any ideas?
Instead of Batman Hush, it's Batman.
We already got
Scream.
Hush 2, so it has an unnecessary sequel.
Oh, yeah, true. I guess they beat me to it. But instead of Hush, it would have been him being really loud.
Yeah.
What are we going to read next week, Daniel?
Back matter matters. We're going to read Scooby Apocalypse.
Oh.
Yes, sir. For my birthday book.
Already.
It's going to be the best.
You've been trying to get me to read this for so long, and I've been trying to avoid it for so long.
Yeah,
but
I got
it's
shut
your birthday.
Down, and so I'm like, I'll just save that for me or something, and then I don't.
But it's your birthday. I have to read whatever you say.
I normally pick books that I hear are bad, or I've experienced and thought were bad. I don't think this will be bad. I just picked it because I know you didn't want to read it.
I specifically don't care for this really at all. When it was coming out, I was like, yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? But like,
you didn't have like any interest. You weren't like, oh, interesting.
No.
Wow. Okay.
Leave it. Leave it alone, Hanna-Barbera.
That's how we differ.
Yeah.
Well, they're still making new Scooby-Doo comics, so it's like, it's not like.
Yeah, that's fine, but they're not in the fucking future or whatever. I don't even know what this is about, but I just like, they were changing everything, and I was like, we didn't need to do this. You know what I mean?
Everything could benefit from a good reboot.
Perhaps. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I have a strong inclination that tells me that I won't be wrong. So we'll see.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll have more in-person episodes if you didn't like this for some reason. I think it's fine.
Yeah, if you didn't like this, we'll follow up via email, and I'll send you a little survey, customer satisfaction survey. If you could fill that out, my manager would really appreciate it.
Yeah. Report to HR.
Yeah.
Linktree in the bio. You can like, comment, subscribe, stuff like that. Email in. Tell us, have you played Last of Us? Is it good? I don't know.
Tell us if you think the weekend's too short.
tradewaiterspod@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
And goodbye.
Peace.